Welcome to the iHemp Hour. My name is Dave Crable. I'm with iHemp Michigan. iHemp Michigan's mission is to educate, inform, and promote the research, development, and cultivation of industrial hemp all over the world, really, not just Michigan, right? How you doing, guys? It's been a couple weeks.
Doing great.
It has been, yeah, it has been good to be back home in the home studio now. So that makes it's nice to be back here after being
that fiber anymore. You had that fiber connection, yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna jump right into our guest. Blaine, do you want to go ahead and introduce our guest?
Yeah, we are really honored today to have Cody Ley with Hemp for Humanity joining us today. Cody is a farmer and he's the founder of Hemp for Humanity. He's studying environmental science and biochemistry as an undergraduate. It has inspired him to explore many of the possible environmental and socio-economical impacts the hemp plant could provide. Beginning on the cultivation side, he has been growing cannabis hemp for over 5+ years. Over the last 2 years, he has also been working in processing hemp, as well as further developing end-use markets, such as building materials. He is currently the Regional 7 leader for US Hemp Building Association, and he's here to build resilient supply chain and healthy, sustainable communities using hemp agriculture. We're excited because as we move forward this next year, iHemp Michigan is going to be sponsoring a lot of educational sessions regarding building with hemp material. And Cody's going to be a big part of that. We're going to be working hand in hand to bring all that great information. Plus, we'll give a little update on through the show here about what's going on with Jesse's Castle. Really exciting where we're doing that. So, Cody, thanks for being with us, and we really appreciate you taking time today to join us.
Yeah, good to see you.
Thank you guys for having me. Super excited.
Yeah.
So, what are you working on this week?
So, yeah, this week, got some projects coming down the pipeline. So as always, we're working on different building materials and setting up a panelized system. And so we're R&D and some stuff like that, making them easy to transport and to reduce thermal bridging. Because that will be oriented for a project that hopefully will be going up next summer. A small 1,000 square foot passive home for a church community just outside of Detroit.
So the thermal bridging, it's when you have those panels and you have the I forget, the header board and the plate. Mm-hmm. Is that where you're getting that?
Yes, exactly. So like the thermal bridges that a lot of panelized systems struggle with come from the frames, because wherever you have your hempcrete, obviously you have a great R value due to the air pockets that are inside that hemp wall. So it's a lower density. And so any super high density breaks that you have in your structure, that will allow heat or any temperature to move through easier than it would move through your wall. And it could definitely negate the performance of whatever's in your wall.
So how do you overcome that? Because you need that structural frame, right?
Yeah. And so there's some solutions. You can put certain foam or poly materials in there to keep that insulation value above and below where the boards are. But the key is really trying to find a non-toxic solution and a sustainable solution, which I think comes down more to the design, which is kind of what we're playing with right now.
Okay.
I think the other tricky part with the stuff is you can't put like paneling on it, or you can't plaster it, because that negates the whole value of what's going on, right?
Well, yeah, if you're talking about hemp walls, there are some high performance plasters, and plaster in general will definitely allow your wall to still perform in its best way, because it's going to allow moisture to passively get through there. And then with magnesium oxide boards on the rise, I think that's offering a really good solution, especially for prefab panel builders, to put on something that acts almost just like a drywall that is breathable, sustainable, and economical. And it gives you a little bit more support on the exteriors of your wall. So those magnesium oxide panels are getting super popular. You can also use it as a binder. So using that magnesium oxide in your binder is also very helpful, because then you don't have to deal with the dust and the caustic properties of that lime binder before you mix it with water.
Good.
So it's like a drywall, but it's using magnesium oxide instead of gypsum.
Yes. Yep. And which just makes it a little more sustainable and more breathable, which is important for your hemp walls.
Couldn't you then paint over that or not? You have to leave that bare or what?
So depending on what type of finish that you get on it, you could use a natural breathable oil-based paint on top of it. But typically you're still going to be plastering over there to get a nice, smooth, clean finish. But depending on what kind of look, if you're looking for more of an industrious look, I know some of these panels kind of have that concrete look, and that could be preferable in some cases.
I'm thinking more for a homeowner, you know, they'd want to maybe do something a bit more with it. And I'm just looking at whatever the limitations might be on that. So.
Right. Yeah, no, definitely. I've definitely seen paint go directly on them, but you just want to make sure you're not using any latex paints that are going to create, vapor barriers.
So oil-based works good then, right?
Mm-hmm. Like linseed oil is a good natural paint, a little more pricey, but and you could any naturally derived oil. So even some hemp seed oil paint could be possible.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we'll have to start working on that one, won't we? Now, Cody, your Hemp for Humanity is located based out of Ann Arbor, correct? And then
our first farm is in Southwest Michigan, but right now I'm based in Ann Arbor, working on the processing and then
so the plant and the factory and all that stuff's there, yeah. And down by Three Rivers is where your farm is, right?
Yes. Yep.
No.
Yes, sir.
Are you seeing demand for hemp building materials growing, or is it still an educational process?
I think it's absolutely growing. Just in this past 4 or 5 months, I've had multiple projects reach out to me. Blaine knows very well some more projects going on in Michigan and Wisconsin area, even Chicago. There's a lot of people. I think the demand is there. I don't think it's enough demand to shoulder the type of investment that we need into the hemp industry right now, not alone at least. But I think it would get there as more hemp's being grown and processed here in the U.S., because then, like you just said, Mike, the education will increase along with that, and then more demand will grow from there. But I think the demand right now gives us a good foundation to justify putting up more facilities and infrastructure in order to grow the industry to that point.
So we've got this is interesting. I see some comments in the chat coming up here. We got a Facebook user, I don't know who it is, but says, I'm making stone pigments from lapidary polishing. If I'm saying that correct, but it says it would be fun to incorporate. He wants to incorporate, making a corporation kind of thing. So that's interesting. Oh, he's currently in Pennsylvania, coming back to Michigan. Well, okay. All right. Well, welcome when you get back here.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Yeah.
Bring their Department of Ag with, please.
Yeah.
Kidding, Molly.
Yeah. Yeah. Dave's got a little short story he's going to share with us. Okay. Guys know me. I used to manage Carvana. Okay. Excellent. Well, thanks for joining us today. We appreciate that. So I'll talk a little bit about Jesse's Castle. We'll get into that. So for those people that don't know, Jesse D. Decker, not related to James D. Decker that we all know and is doing our trials. By the way, James and Philip are going to be on the show in the near future, giving us the update on their trials that they've been doing this year. So that's going to be great. So Jessie has an immune deficiency where basically anywhere she lives, she's allergic to the building material or products that are in the home. And a lot of people have this syndrome, this problem. And so we're looking at building what we call safe homes for people. We've been talking about this for a while, and we've actually got some pretty good legs under this now. And we're looking at next spring actually breaking ground, so to speak, and actually building these homes. So we're in the planning phase right now. We're having every 2 weeks, we're having some meetings, but and Cody's going to be real involved with this as we move forward. So we're really excited at what's going on there, to be able to bring safe and affordable housing. It's a great project. We're really fortunate that we've been able to move that project forward and be able to help not only Jessie, but some of her friends too that she has to be able to do that. So Cody, how did you start H4H? Give us a little background on that.
Yeah, like I said, so it started, I've been growing hemp and cannabis indoor and outdoor for 5 to 7 years, and started in college when I was doing my senior research on bioplastics and how plasticizers degrade and affect microbiomes. And then that's what introduced me to hemp being used as a biopolymer in plastic. And then from there, it was down the rabbit hole into all the different uses and all the different benefits of actually farming it. And so when I graduated in college, I started the farm in 2020 because I realized, seeing the industry as it was growing, that the biggest problem people were running into was first supply. Obviously, we had that chicken and egg scenario where it was the demand and the supply, but I definitely have seen the supply demand grow substantially. And so I figured I would start from the farm, and that's really the only way to sustainably build any industry, because they're the foundation of our entire society, right? So if we could start farming and do it sustainably, then we could build up the industry the right way. So we started our farm trials, and I was familiar in the cannabis oil space. So we grew a high CBG variety and grew, extracted, and formulated a supplement within that first year, and started selling that as like kind of our foundation to start raising money to move into the buildings, because that was the goal the entire time. We wanted to build sustainable communities and out of sustainable materials, right? And so this last year, we got into some fiber and grain varieties, and we did some trials, and things have been moving really well. We learned a lot on the farming side, and now realizing how important that is to the entire supply chain and what end products you're using. That was a great revealing year for sure. And so, yeah, now finally we're in the building space, and we're creating materials, and we're working on a project called Renewable Detroit. And it's basically a proof of concept for what the hemp industry can do environmentally, socially for the people, and then economically for the industry, agricultural industry, and the manufacturing industries in Michigan. And so that's our main project right now. We're concept house to build up next summer to show the utility of the material and prove a concept of an affordable house. So building these systems in a way that can be accessible for everybody.
That's exciting. So you're working on are you refurbishing houses in Detroit or building from scratch?
So yeah, a little bit of both, because the most sustainable thing to do is to recycle these buildings. It's a lot of waste to tear those down. So we have a little mix. We're working with the land bank in Detroit right now to get a good lot that could house 20 homes. And in order to build 20 homes at around 500 to 600 square feet, we would need about 100 acres of hemp. And so in this first stage, we're looking to contract small, underserved, small producers to accumulate that 100 acres of material that we would need. And then we can process that hopefully next summer. And then in that following year, we can start construction. And I think the really important thing, especially in Detroit, that I'm stressing with this project is I want to build sustainable communities. And when we talk about building sustainable communities, we have to look beyond just the materials we're using, beyond the supply chains, and into the communities that we're actually trying to support. So I think it's one thing to empower people by giving them shelter, energy, and food, their basic human rights. But it's a whole nother scenario if you can give communities the tools to cultivate that themselves and build their own community from within. And I think it's definitely really potent in an area like Detroit, which used to be one of the largest manufacturing centers in the world. For them to have an opportunity to take this brand new industry and rebuild their own city from the ground up into a potential industrial manufacturing center for hemp, I think that could be extremely moving, and it would be an awesome accomplishment for the hemp industry to start on that leg.
Have you talked to Mayor Duggan? Got him involved?
I have not. No.
No, I can help you with that. So
awesome. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
He had expressed interest a year or so ago. I was working with someone, and
yeah, they were looking at doing hemp for remediation because there's so many, 30,000 abandoned houses that have been there forever and all that gunk that's in the ground. And they were real excited about that. And it just kind of fizzled out. I don't know exactly what happened, but
we could pull the metals out of the land and use that fiber to rebuild the homes that are well insulated and healthy. It's a beautiful thing.
Definitely, yeah.
So the state producer, this is Rihanna, asking if we know what varieties are best grown for hemp lime, and we're still figuring that out, really, aren't we, Cody?
Yeah, the verdict is really still that takes some years to really figure out, the best. But generally speaking, I think from what my experience was, we threw 3 different varieties down, 2 Asian varieties and 1 European variety, all at 3 different densities. And I found in my experience, the European variety that we grew, Bielebredsky, definitely grew a more fiber dominant crop, especially at the higher densities. And the Asian varieties were growing much taller, much girthier in the stalks, which would be better biomass for the herd production, which is what we're looking for when we're talking about building with hemp lime. We want that herd. And so you want to be on the lower end of your populations and growing taller and stockier varieties rather than the oilseed varieties or something that will grow better for fiber without that big herd on there.
Yeah, it'd be nice if we still had that research path where we could do a bunch of quarter-acre plots, but with the current licensing and even in the restrictions on having people farm for you, it's been tough to get people to grow.
Definitely, and that's why I was really hoping a project like this, targeting these smaller producers, and forming like an overall entity, could hopefully potentially give us a better look in getting licensing to all these smaller farmers. And I definitely think there's some room for improvement on that side of things, because like you were saying, you'll spend more on your
$1,350 to grow a quarter acre to learn a little something. I mean, not everybody has that kind of money.
Yeah, exactly. You're spending more on the license than you would any other part of your farm. So if you're doing these small variety trials.
I know Blaine's going to be covering this shortly in his news, but a lot of other states, the states are actually supporting the hemp industry. Michigan is not one of those. So that would make a big difference if we got the state to actually get behind this, right? And come up with some subsidies, things like that, right?
Yeah, that's the 2 huge barriers to projects like this. That state support could be huge. And I think a good way to start that off is showing the feasibility of what hemp agriculture could do for the state of Michigan. So, for example, right now we grow in Michigan just about 2.5 million acres of corn, 2.5 million acres of soybean. These 2 industries combined equate to about a $4.5 billion ag industry here in Michigan. And so if we could show that, hey, if we take that 2-year rotation and turn it into a 3-year rotation with hemp, then we're growing 1 million acres of hemp on that 3rd year. And that 1 million acres could produce enough material to build 200,000 homes, produce enough biofuel energy to power 500,000 homes, and it could equate to a $1 to $2 billion industry on its own. Of course, that's if that infrastructure is built up to support those industries, which it's not right now. But doing small scale projects like this, if we had 100 acres and we take it and we do a full feasibility study from the seed all the way to the building, and we show here's the economic impact that this industry could have, then I think that's how we really start to gain support and subsidies for the actual hemp agriculture side. And then on top of that, we can show here's what it looks like in the community. Here's what it does for the environment. Here's how the house performs. It's energy efficient. And then you can start to say this material is legitimate. And then you can start to get mortgages for these types of houses, and you can start to get insured on these types of houses, which would make them that much more accessible for these low-income families in areas that are dilapidated, like Detroit right now.
Mm-hmm. And a healthier show, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm definitely really focused on getting those numbers, getting our farmers around, and then working with James on the farms trials, getting those numbers and showing like this is what the potential of this industry can do. And if we see that, then why wouldn't you put the same subsidies on this industry as you do all these other agricultural industries, you know?
Well, we have a real chance to make some changes with the new farm bill coming up nationally. So there's a lot of things going on there, trying to raise the level up to 1%. Also trying to get and also trying to get the if it's grown for fiber or for grain, not have to be tested, those kind of things. So all those steps are, well, it'd be a big help there too. And all those things are coming. It's just going to take a little time to get people on board and understand what's happening there, you know.
Oh, we're not patient.
Yeah, unfortunately, you're right. We want it, and we want it now, right? Kind of thing. So,
and the one benefit of, I think, Michigan's hemp legislation is the remediation piece. Just from what I hear compared to other states, like in California, so like we had 2 acres test hot this year, and if that would happen in California, I know a couple guys out there that had to bury their whole crop. No chance. And fortunately in Michigan, there's remediation techniques where you can grind up your biomass, a representative sample, send that back in for testing, and then obviously it comes back non-detected for THC, and then you at least get to keep your material. And so that's the one benefit I've found in the hemp legislation here in Michigan, that is at least a little more farmer friendly, you know.
Yeah, it seems idiotic when if you're growing this for building, why would the THC level matter anyway? It's not going into human consumption, you know. You're going to build a wall or something, you know.
Yeah, that's a great question. That's a good one.
Yeah, I think it just takes a little time for people to, you know, understand the little nuances of the industry and where that needs to be, and you know, again, getting rid of some of the reefer madness.
That legacy is still there. I'm on the other side of the .3. I cover the cannabis community, but still, that legacy. I mean, you know what? 80 years of prohibition. It still kind of lingers, right? I'll be discussing that in the election results here when we come back, when I get on my segment here shortly. But it's still people are just not sure about it, you know. So,
well, Mike, since you that's a great segue, Mike.
That's my segue. Yes.
And let us give a little news here, and then we'll come back. I want to bring up your website, so I'd like to be able to share my screen. To show your website so people
MIMarijuanaReport.com.
Yeah. So let's go to Mike Brennan. Give us some great news, Mike.
Can do. All right. So one of the big things, well, of course, yesterday, this is Thursday. 2 days ago was Election Day. And of that, there was 32 local ballot proposals asking voters whether they wanted marijuana sales in their communities, and the results were kind of mixed, as expected. Of the 32 proposals, 15 passed, 17 failed. However, 2 of the ballot proposals that failed in Macomb County were initiatives that would have prohibited marijuana businesses. So a mixed bag. The other thing too, now there's two new members of the adult use community now. Two states opted in. That was Maryland and what was it? Maryland. Hang
Missouri.
on, Missouri. Yes. However, three very red states, the Dakotas and Arkansas, voted it down. Again, not particularly surprising. So. And we have a lot of legislative stuff and election stuff on our website. And then there's a lot of things going on. And the cannabis tourism is starting to take off in Michigan. One of the big reasons is because, except for Illinois, of course, Canada is adult use is legal all over Canada. But we don't get that many Canadians coming over from Windsor. But certainly we get a lot of people from Indiana and Ohio and up north in the UP that come in from Wisconsin and Minnesota to buy pot, And so a very big market there for tourism. And then there's a lot of, in fact, we're starting a tourism. My partner doesn't like me to call it an e-zine, but that's the old term for it. A digital magazine for tourism in Michigan. We're starting that right now. We'll be launching that in December because it's really starting to take off. And so people are wondering, where can I go, Airbnb kind of thing, or what restaurants or bars or parks or whatever it might be. So we're going to be able to tell them that. And the other thing that we're doing too, I'm the president of the Hero Project board. Hero Project, we're working with veterans, as you all know, or maybe you don't know. I've never been in combat. I'm not a veteran, so I can only speak to what veterans tell me, that going into combat, that's where you get a lot of the PTSD issues. I mean, they're around explosions, guns going off. I remember my mother telling me right after World War II, my father was flying in a bomber for years, and that he would wake up at night screaming, and they used to call it shell shock, but now we know what it is. It's PTSD. So we've got a program where the cannabis community is going to be working with the veterans. It was just announced 2 days ago. We got Brian Hanna, the new director. Used to be Brisboe, was the director of what is now the CRA. He signed off on it. And so we're going to be doing an experiment next year with 25 veterans to give them free cannabis to treat their PTSD symptoms. And as I was mentioning before we started, for instance, at testing labs, the cultivators have to provide, pounds and pounds and pounds of cannabis, and then the labs themselves only take a very small portion of that to test and then throw the rest away. Big waste. So we're going to try to zero in on things like that to get that medicine essentially to the veterans so they can treat their PTSD. The other element of this, and this is all and I'd like to take credit for it, but I assigned this to Anton Harb Jr., who is our veteran advisor, and he's done a wonderful job. So I just, delegation, I take credit for the delegation, but other than that, it's all Anton and Connie Sparrow. We also have an element of it where when veterans are serving and they use marijuana and they get busted for it, essentially, they get a less than honorable discharge, which is like getting a felony bust for civilians. It just messes up your life. So part of what we're going to do is be working with the cannabis community in Michigan to sell some products that we can generate money for, that we can hire lawyers, then that they can go to the Defense Department and try to get that less than honorable discharge changed to an honorable discharge. So it's kind of like what Brian Basor is doing with his getting the records expunged for marijuana users that have low-level busts kind of thing. And even the president got on board with that. For federal folks, as long as it was, just possession or something minor like that, they're trying to do that on a federal level. We're trying to do it on a state level and with veterans. So as you can tell, we got a lot of stuff going on. But this is all good stuff. And so I wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of what we were doing, and particularly with the veterans. That's near and dear to my heart. And so we're happy to be able to get that moving forward after 2 years of working with the MRI, then the CRA, and they signed off on it last week. So we're moving.
Yeah.
Back to you.
Well, Mike, you've got some, let's just give you another shameless plug here. You have some great advertising opportunities for people to advertise, right? Coming up.
Yeah, we're doing our holiday gift guide. And I'm getting a little pushback from the hemp community because they don't think that cannabis folks would be interested in CBD. And I don't necessarily think that's correct. because I'm a CBD user for helping me sleep at night. I mean, the CBN, things like that. Actually got it from Michael Toohey, who we all know. So it's not only just the CBD products. It's also, well, you can't ship THC products, but the deal that we worked out is that we refer the folks that in our well, it'll be a newsletter. Well, we reach a lot of people. We reach 80,000 people on Facebook now, more than 100,000 on LinkedIn. So we really have a big audience. And so we're going to try to move products, and we're not charging very much money for it. It's more of a service because we know the industry is hurting right now. But at the same time, you know, we can't do everything for free because then we can't pay our bills. But we've cut the price from less than it was last year so that you can advertise your THC products, and then they can go to your store to pick them up, or they can have them delivered, or the paraphernalia. We have a lot of people that have really nice glass pipes and things like that. No problem shipping that. And of course, anything to do with CBDs and smokable flower, as long as I think as long as it's below 0.3, they can ship there. Maybe I'm wrong on the flower, but certainly on the CBD. Correct me if I'm wrong there.
Correct.
Okay, so that can be shipped, but if it's above 0.03, then clearly then you got to go to the store to pick it up, or you got to have it delivered, and then we provide we push the customers to the stores so that they can do it, and we wrap it up at a holiday gift card, which actually is starting next week, Friday the 18th, and running through Christmas. So hey, you know what? Nice green product to give your friends, and I think, you know, check it out. Now you can, Dan Keelan, the publisher, is really handling all that. I'm just the journalism guy. So Dan at mimarijuanareport.com can give you all that information. And so we even invited Blaine to come back to share. We can talk about that off camera here. Blaine was one of our advertisers last year. We had several other hemp folks. Lakeland Hemp worked with us last year. So, I mean, it's not just the cannabis folks. We want the hemp folks, use this to reach our audience, and hopefully we'll make a couple of sales. You more than pay for the campaign. So there you have it. Thank you for that plug, by the way. Or let me do that plug. So.
No, it's important to get that word out there because, like you say, if everybody doesn't know what you got to sell, they don't know how to buy it. So, and green's a great thing, right? Goes with everything.
Let's go green for Christmas. I think it's a wonderful thing. And then when you're in with your dysfunctional families, during all these holidays, you can get that pre-roll out, slip outside, you come back in, and everything's cool, right? You're like, hey, I'm good now. Yes. Or if again, getting back to the medicinal side of it. I mean, as old people like us, I'm not referring to our guest, of course. I got so many things going on that it's hard for me to sleep at night. I lay down and all I think about is all the stuff I got to get done, right? So the CBN really takes the edge off, and I can go to sleep.
And Michael Toohey's stuff has that great cherry flavor.
Yeah, that's what I ordered. Is that cherry stuff.
I'm
supporting Traverse City agriculture there. So
yeah. Well, have you guys tried the CBG at all?
What's that?
Have you guys tried the CBG, the cannabigerol?
No.
Yeah. So I think, everybody's cannabinoid receptor system is a little different, but the CBG, if you're looking for that all opposite effect of energy and focus, the CBG is really, really good for that. When we formulated our gummy recipe, we formulated it to give energy and focus. So it's all natural ingredients, all organic ingredients, and vitamin B12, little green tea extract, and the CBG. And so the CBG is it's unique because it's the first cannabinoid that the plant produces. Mm-hmm. And so it will actually interact with your CB1 and your CB2 receptor systems. So it'll interact in your full body, your peripheral nervous system, as well as your central nervous system in your head. And so what it does in your body is similar to what CBD will do and reduce inflammation and take care of your
getting a little bit. I do so much typing. I'm starting to get a little bit of arthritis, So
yeah,
I live in Ann Arbor too, so we'll have to get together and you can check it out.
I'll get you a bottle. And then, because then on top of that, it interacts with a receptor in your brain. It's called the alpha-2 adrenergic receptor. Mm-hmm. And this is the same receptor that attention deficit medicines target because it enhances your focus, your anandamide release, and gives you that real focused, energetic kind of a head space while you're still calm and not jittery in your body. So that's like kind of our motto is calm body, focused mind with that CBG.
Oh boy, all the stuff I got to do, I could use that. So
yeah, yeah, exactly.
I'm in the same boat, all the time and something, so
right. Yeah.
Cody, I just bought some CBG from Rusty Peterson.
Nice.
Unfortunately, he's heading off to Western states where it's a little greener. So anyhow, would the dosage be the same if I made, like, I make Hempy Award-winning chocolate peanut butter CBD balls? If I were to switch those up to CBG, would that be more of an uplift? And would I have the dose if I usually do it around between 25 and 40 milligrams per dose? Would it be about the same?
Yep, it would be about the same. So our gummies are formulated at 10. That's because we have other energy additives in there. So it's a more like complete recipe. But if you're solely doing the CBG, yeah, anywhere from 20 to 50 milligrams is really good. And I've been reading a lot of research on actually CBD dosing, and the recommended doses that we see commonly, I've been reading some research are sometimes too low to really give people those effects. And that's why some people, especially cannabis users who are experienced, they will need really, really high doses of CBD in order to get the benefits versus people who aren't as familiar. They're good in that 25 to 50 milligram range for a CBD dose. So that's what I would suggest when we're talking CBG as well.
Hey, well, it sounds like a plan. We'll have to get together for lunch. I'm over by the stadium. I don't know what part of the city you live in, but
right down State Street. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Well, you guys can have lunch. There you go.
Yeah, that'd be thinking, and he could slip me under the table. That's CBG, So. Wait a minute, that's the old days. We're not doing that anymore. So,
yeah.
So David mentioned about Rusty, and I want to give a shout out to Rusty for everything he's done for Michigan and what they've done. Him and Cody both with Corey. For with the hemp fiber stuff. I know that he's always moving. He's going to be working with IND Hemp out of Montana. I know there's a Frank Zappa song, so there's a joke in there somewhere, but I haven't quite figured it out yet. But Rusty, good luck to you and your family moving out there. We know you're moving, but we know you're not forgetting about Michigan, and we know we're going to be instrumental with you as that moves forward as well. So congratulations to you, and safe travels. And I know we're going to be running into each other for sure. So we're excited for you. We're excited for you for sure on that one. So I want to give a little.
Can I ask Cody one more question about CBG before we move on?
Plenty of time.
So my intent was, I had heard that CBG is a stronger antibacterial. Is that true?
Yeah, the antimicrobial properties are really strong with it. Like I said, it's the first cannabinoid that the plant produces. And all your other cannabinoids will derive off of it. So they call it like the mother of all. So I'm assuming all of them are pretty well endowed with those properties, but I could see how CBG would definitely be, So
here's my thought, because I've been making my own homemade salves and giving it to hockey players, and it's, guys love it. Guys I skate with, and but we're those of us who skate a lot, we tend to have some, and then those showers have some athlete's foot problems. I thought, man, I might make one heavy with CBG. Maybe it might help in that area. Have a special foot salve. Does that make sense at all?
It definitely. I would love to see how that turns out, because I haven't seen any real practical research on these properties like that would provide. That would have some actual evidence, in an in-use application. So, the research stuff is all very focused and lab-based, and sometimes that doesn't translate as well out into the real world and real-life applications.
All right. I'll keep you posted.
Yeah, definitely.
I think Mr. Blaine has some news too.
My turn now? Okay, good. Well, first of all, I want to make a huge shout out to all the veterans out there. I want to thank you for your service. There's no question that without you doing your thing, a lot of us couldn't do our things. So we appreciate that. Tomorrow's Veterans Day, so if you see a vet, know a vet, make sure you thank them for their service that they've done there for sure. So This week, I don't have the product itself, but I wanted to give a shout out to HOH. They entered some of their product into the Hempies Awards last year, and they won for their Gracie's Calm Elixir. It's used on horses, and we'll have them on the show. They've had HOH has had some really exciting things happen to them. They have one of the guys from the original Shark Tank picked them up and is helping them, and they're doing a lot of things out of country with selling their product and getting that. So we're going to excited to have them on very soon. I know Lori was a little sick this week, so we send our healing vibes out to you, Lori. But we'll have them on, and they can talk about what's exciting stuff, what's happening with them, and give us an update on how their harvest went this year. And I've been seeing pictures throughout the year, and they've been doing a great job. So HOH is who we're going to do is who we're featuring for our product this week on the show. So Dave talked a little bit about it. Maybe Dave, maybe you might want to cover it more. But Pennsylvania is really getting behind their growers, always have been, and they have a $200,000 grant, Dave.
The Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture said it will award $200,000 in matching funds to nonprofit marketing and promotion organizations for projects aimed at increasing sales, export, and consumer awareness of hemp products from the state. Isn't that awesome? So the minimum grant amount is $1,000. Department will give special consideration to projects that leverage other funding and public-private partnerships.
Wow.
So,
that's awesome.
It's great. I mean, that's that
way to go, Pennsylvania.
So bad.
That's what we need to get Gretchen Whitmer behind, right? The governor on that. Man, and also, if I recall from a previous show, wasn't Pennsylvania giving like $20 million to the hemp industry or something, or some large number like that to help the industry? Was that not right or not?
I know New York State kicked in $10 million right at the get-go. I think that, and it seems like Pennsylvania had some similar things.
Yeah, somewhere in that ballpark. A lot of money, actually. You know. So
yeah, they see the light. This. And maybe part of our issue, what I'm finding is, we have some very ingrained industries that don't want the competition. I mean, that might be part of the problem.
Absolutely. And that's it's important to consider that too, because we see like the benefits and the help that this plant could do. But at the same time, if you're coming in with an extremely disruptive industry, you could also be putting a lot of people's economic well-being at risk. If you come in and completely replace a concrete factory that's going on, then you can't just transplant those people directly to the facility, So it's like having drop-in replacements and integration is super important, I think, for building the hemp industry, because then you can kind of reduce that competitive edge that I think we all feel a little pushback from with these other industries, especially on the agricultural side when we're trying to talk to farmers about growing hemp versus the corn and soy that they are right now,
Well, and certainly on the CBD side, the big pharma is not really excited about that because they want you to take a pill a day or 3 pills a day. And as we all know, with CBD products and the other uses out there would eliminate that situation. So they don't want that competition.
So let's see what else we got. In March 29th through the 31st, 2023, NOCO will be having their, I believe it's the 9th show that they've had expo. It's going to be at the Broadmoor, Colorado Springs. So if you're planning a little trip in March, that'd be a great place to go. I know I'm planning on heading out there this year for sure to do that. So always great to connect out there and see what's going on in the industry. I expected another great show from them to be held out there on that. Also want to give a great shout out to Hemp Feed Coalition. A week ago, they had a webinar and a listening session and a talking session with a lot of the players for using hemp for feed in livestock. I was able to participate and listen on that quite a bit, and just got to give them they did a great job on that. And I think we've got some real progress going down that road about how to get this into the industry and move, and just a lot of great sharing of information there. So thank you guys for doing that. Hemp Feed Coalition, they probably got some information on their website as well, so you can go there. Let's see what else I got. I guess that's all I got for news for right now. I know that there's a lot of places that are trying to get hemp for feed going, and some states are behind it, and some states are actually putting some stuff in to ban it for a while until we get it approved. So let's keep moving on that as well. We do that. Let's see what else we got here. We got a great recipe coming up in just a little bit, but I have a
question for Cody when you're done.
Go ahead.
All right, let's go back to Cody for a minute. So, Cody, you went to school, and it sounded like you were talking about plastics engineering or something.
Yeah, I was studying plasticizers, and how. So the plasticizers are like the glue that put together your polymers to make whatever properties in your plastic that you want. And so we can make all of these biodegradable or sustainable plastics, right? But commonly they're used with the same plasticizers. And these plasticizers are often what's really, really toxic about the actual plastic. So like BPA or DET, there's a bunch of different, 3-letter acronyms to describe all these. But I was studying how those leach out. So once you put those into your biodegradable plastic, which is being degraded by microbes, right? I was studying how these plasticizers were affecting the microbe health. And so if the plasticizers were toxic, they would be killing the microbes that were supposed to be biodegrading the plastic and defeating the whole purpose.
Okay.
So that was like kind of what my research was in. I'm not too familiar in all the manufacturing side of all the plastic stuffs, but in the composition of it, that's what I was really doing in school my last year.
My experience has just been using hemp as a filler with virgin polypropylene, which I guess the virgin polypropylene would be the plasticizer.
Nope, that's the
plasticizer.
That's the polymer. Yeah.
The
Yeah, and then you're adding in the hemp polymer, which is the standard. Most plastics aren't capable of being 100% biodegradable. I don't like to say any absolutes because I'm sure there's going to be somebody out there who's doing it right now, But typically you see that like a 30% bio additive to your plastic.
Well, but some plastics, like your Frisbee, you don't want to biodegrade. I'm told it's just an additive we'd put in there if we wanted it to. But you want some durable. If it's seeding or Frisbee or some you don't want to biodegrade. You want it to be sustainable, a long period of time. But can we make those plastics out of the plant so that the whole process is cleaner?
Yeah, like I said, I'm not too familiar on the manufacturing side. I'm not an expert in that field, but creating 100%, you're asking if we could create 100% bio-based plastic that doesn't biodegrade quickly.
Right, and it's durable.
Right. Yeah. So I'm assuming there's definitely, if there's a will, there's a way. I don't know of anybody doing that, and I think it would be hard to get it to where it doesn't biodegrade. But like you were saying, it's really important to at least put anything bio-based into these plastics, because then at least you're lowering the carbon footprint. You're embodying some carbon into something that is carbon that's mined out of the ground, this petroleum-based plastics.
Right.
And so that would be an interesting thing to look into if there's a nice, strong, durable, long-lasting 100% biopolymer that could go into these plastics. Which I'm sure there's experts. Like I said, there's always you'll say something that could be that guy is like, oh no, that's been done, so
we can, we just have to get there. Yeah, I bought corn-based pens once for marketing, and I left a couple on my dash and they melted. Regular pens wouldn't have done that, but that couldn't take the heat. So there's a lot we need to learn yet on these technologies.
Right. And
I wanted to show Cody's their website, Hemp for Humanity. So, and I'm learning technology. So do I do the present? Is that how I share the screen?
Yep.
Okay, present, share screen, share screen. There we go. Can we see that now?
No.
Yep.
There. Well, nope. Got to get Jim involved here.
Got to get our editor.
Once you hit the...
What do I need to hit? Well, anyways, while we're working on that, so their website is h4h.earth is where that website is.
Well, he's got it in his signature there, Cody, and so
yeah, so go to that. Got a great bunch on there. They talk about their gummies, their CB. They call it CB Genius, is what they call it. So it's not just
okay. Jim to the rescue. All right.
Hey, thanks, Jim. You're awesome. If it wasn't for him, I don't know, the show would crash probably for sure. So, so that's very cool. So
yeah,
so if you need to get some more information from there, and
these gummies are really good, by the way, Cody. I got some from you in January. I need to connect with you, get some more. But I really like them.
Definitely, I appreciate that. Yeah, and right now we're in the process of kind of separating as we have more hemp building projects coming down the pipeline. We're going to have a completely separate website for the hemp building, and then keep our oil on some separate sales for our loyal customers and everything. So
that hemp seed oil that you're going to use on the inside of the buildings, right? So
if we started harvesting the hemp seed oil, actually, that's actually the cannabis oil that comes. There you can see on that picture there, that was our first year farming. We grew that sensimilla crop, so all flower, and then extracted it and formulated it. Because like I said, I was super familiar with those processes, so I was able to do that and do it in a sustainable way, all locally sourced, all organic materials and ingredients. And like I said, I really was happy with how it turned out, and it's really surprising to see, like, you make it and you love it, but then you think you just love it because it's yours, and then you see what other people start giving you feedback. Oh, it helped me with getting back to the gym, man. Thank you so much. And it's just like, that really just warms you, like it makes it a lot more worth it for sure. Yeah.
Right. Well, Cody, I want to thank you very much for your time today and all the great information you've shared. And I want everybody to know that we're going to be working with Cody and US Hemp Building Association very heavily this next few months. And we're going to be putting out some great educational seminars regarding building with hemp products and where we're going with that in Michigan. I know Kim Crows with Fiber Fort will be very involved in that as well. So,
yes,
a lot of stuff going on in Michigan. You just don't hear about it all the time, but a lot of stuff going on there. So we really, really appreciate all the hard work everybody's putting into that for sure. So
now you need to stick around, Cody, for this recipe. And of course, the Hemperer. You go by many names, but that's one of them. So
that's one of them. My other title,
Master of the Universe, was the other one, or something like that.
I got my little hat. Was able to make sure about that. So, yeah. All right. So this, it doesn't feel like it right now, I know, but really, they tell me winter is coming eventually here. So
this weekend, right in time for the game. But go ahead. So
okay, yeah. By the way, I gotta make a plug here. I'm really excited because basketball season has officially started now. So
I
went to the first game with MSU. I'm going to a few more, and so I'm excited that basketball started. So
sounds like a wager is in the future there.
I'm sure that there's going to be a couple coming up. That's for sure.
Couple are coming up. Okay, I'm ready. Go blue. So
go green. So this is a winter squash with hemp nut filling and extra virgin olive oil. They talk about using in here. 1 small yellow onion diced, 1 to 2 cloves of fresh garlic minced, sea salt, Granny Smith apple peeled, cored, and diced, 1 stalk of celery diced, a grated zest of lemon, fresh lemon, 1 cup golden raisins, 1/3 of a cup of shelled hemp seeds, 1 tablespoon of hemp seed oil, 2 to 3 springs freshly partially minced, and 2 winter squash halved and seeded. Good choices are acorn, butternut, and I can't even say the other one. Pokey-dokey. Pokey-dokey pumpkin, if I said that right. I don't know. Recipes on there. I have tried this last year. It's a very great recipe and gets eaten up pretty good. It's good. Matter of fact, it's even healthy for you, which is the thing. This makes about 6 to 8 servings. And we got this one off of I believe it's the Hemp Nut Cookbook is where I got this one from. So I always want to give credit to where credit's due on that. That's for sure. So. Sure. All right. So we got some great shows coming up. Now, probably we try and do this every 2 weeks, but the next 2 weeks would put us to Thanksgiving. So we're probably not going to do one on Thanksgiving. We'll probably do one right after that.
That would be December 1st.
December 1st is probably our next show. Yep. Not sure who's going to be on right now. Probably we'll have James D. Decker by then. I think they'll have their information together. And we're going to get Lori put on with her, tell us about her great stuff that she's doing with HOH and how they've been able to make that a successful company for them. So we hope everybody has a very safe week here. Obviously, nationally, Michigan holiday comes next week for those that are hunters. Everybody be safe out there.
The 15th, yeah. That's coming up fast, next Tuesday.
It is, absolutely. Yeah. So,
are you growing your buck beard? I can't tell.
No, not really.
Not really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm hoping I get out that day. We'll see. But it's been a great year for sure. And Cody, again, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule and day. And everybody keep tabs because we're going to have a bunch of great stuff happen in the next few months. So
okay, sounds good.
Everybody do that. Now, how do you say that, Dave? Keep your stick on the ice. Is that how?
Keep your head up and stick on the ice. Yep.
Stick on the ice.
There you go.
That's right. Or you get one of those Gordie Howe hat tricks, right?
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
It's nice out there.
Take care.
All right.
Peace and love.